All right, this is chapters 31 through 35 of Lock the Doors. 31. Help me, help me, help me! I wake up shaking, the sound of someone else's cry echoing behind my eyes. I turn on my bedside lamp and stare at the words still covering my wall. Why didn't I let Jay paint over them when he suggested it? If Amy didn't write them, I want them gone. They could have been written 50 years ago. I could look and still not find out who did this. I can't get back to sleep, but the house is silent and dark, so I stay in bed, picturing Amy's face when she told me about her dad. She trusted me. She said something so big I already feel weighed down by it. And I feel both happy and worried because I don't know if it's changed everything already, shaking up a friendship that hasn't even settled into its first version. I feel stupid for jumping to conclusions now that I know Amy's actual story. How must she have felt when I asked about things that had happened that had nothing to do with her? And why after that did she still pick me to tell? I grab my phone and search for Amy's social media, but I can't find anything. I try different variations of her name, hoping I stumble across whatever she calls herself online. When nothing comes up, I type in a different name, Evie Wells, the girl who lied about Amy's dad. It takes me ages to find her, but she's there. It looks like she's in college now, but when I scroll back far enough, I see her with Amy. Except that's not quite true. Amy's in the background. She stares sadly at the camera while the people in front of her smile. She hovers in the corners of 100 different photos. The way she looks at the camera, it's not an accident. She wanted to be in those shots, and yet there's a creepiness to every single one because I think unless you were looking for her, you wouldn't notice she was there. She isn't photobombing them. She isn't making faces or doing it for a joke. She looks like a ghost. I can't find a single photograph focused on Amy. They're all of Evie and a group I don't recognize. Then something catches my eye. A different person, one I'm not expecting. Nia, slightly out of focus, stands in the background talking to a boy. My stepsister looks happier than she ever does at home, but suddenly I can't wait for her to wake up because maybe she can explain what's going on. Amy said she was Evie's best friend before things went wrong. The problem is Evie's Instagram goes back years and they look like complete strangers. 32. Morning. Nia grunts a reply. My heart is racing because I'm about to have an actual conversation with her, or at least try to, and that hasn't gone well in the past. We have an unwritten rule. You may live in the same house, but that doesn't make us family. And it definitely doesn't make us friends. It's Nia's rule. I just accept it. Do you know Evie Wells? My stepsister doesn't reply right away. I think she's trying to figure out how to answer because she keeps looking at me, then away. Finally, she sighs and says, "What about her?" Is that a yes? Nia fills her mouth with cereal, watches me as she chews, and says, "She used to go to my school. She's not there anymore." So she was a senior? I say this more to myself than to Nia, but she asks, "Why are you interested in Evie? Have you been perving over her Insta or something?" Not exactly, I think, but out loud I say, "Do you know Amy Pierce?" When she doesn't answer, I pick up my phone and show her an image of Amy standing behind Evie, but Nia shakes her head. "Never seen her before." Are you sure? I'm sure. Nia takes her breakfast to her room, so that's the end of the conversation. It went better than I expected. At least she was polite. It doesn't help me, though. How can someone go unnoticed through 6 years of school? But I don't know the name of everyone in my grade, but I know their faces. Amy was there. She even went to their parties. Yet she's always on her own. She's always hovering at the back of someone else's moment. I should have asked about the rumor. That kind of thing would have spread like wildfire. But I've used up my Nia allowance for the day. Instead, I keep searching Evie's social media for any mention of Amy's dad. There must be comments if it happened recently, but before I know it, I'm seeing Evie and her friends as kids, and I realize I've scrolled through 5 years of her life. Not one mention of Amy's dad, not one comment about the lie that got him attacked and forced his daughter to another school. That's not how life works. Those kind of stories take over. Usually something bigger comes along. It's all anyone goes on about. Nia would have known Amy if her dad and Evie were the talk of the school. She would have seen her face and remembered the rumor, because things like that infiltrate every single clique. But she didn't recognize her. She looked like she was staring at a stranger who went to parties but was never seen and seemed invisible in her own school. 33. I look at the holes in my door for the first time in days and run my hands over the words on my wall. Then I scroll through the images of Amy haunting other people's pictures. She said it had nothing to do with her. She said the holes were here when she moved in and the words were hidden behind wallpaper her dad put up. But she also said she was Evie's best friend, and there's no evidence of that. I want to believe her, yet every thought is tangled with doubt. "What's up?" Zach says, jolting me out of my daydream. "Nothing. He knows I'm lying, but he doesn't push. He just nods and starts talking about last night's TV. Outside sociology, I say. Amy's lying about the locks. How do you know? It doesn't add up. She's hiding something. I'm changing my mind so often that it's hurting my head. Amy opened up to me, but I can't shake the feeling that she was honest about the wrong thing. I need to know for certain if the story about her dad is true. Nia might tell me if I catch her on a good day, except those are few and far between. Luckily for me, Aaron is visiting soon. He stays with us once a week. Jay and Nia spending Saturday with him, and all of us playing Happy Families for one night. He's only 6, but he can defrost his sister with a single smile. She loves Aaron so much that I wonder why she chose to live with her dad in a second attempt at a happy ending. I used to think the love she has for her brother should negate whatever anger she feels for her mom. But I've seen the way Nia looks at her when she drops Aaron off. She hates her for cheating on Jay. She despises her for forcing to make a decision no kid should have to make. Which parent do you want to live with? The one who has your favorite person in the world, or the one who did nothing wrong? Nia chose her dad when it was just the two of them. Now she has a second brother she can't stand and a stepmother who tiptoes around her. But Aaron could be my secret weapon, because Nia forgets to hate me when he's around. She can help me figure out what's going on with Amy. She's the insider I need to figure out exactly what happened at St. Gregory's. 34. Nia wraps Aaron in a hug she pretends he doesn't want until his giggles give him away. She laughs so loudly and so genuinely that it catches me by surprise. And then I smile too, because I enjoy seeing her like this. We're all happier when Aaron comes over. The cloud that hovers over Nia all week vanishes the moment he arrives. She forgets to be sarcastic. She doesn't roll her eyes or mumble insults under her breath. She loves being a big sister, just not to me. I called her that once and she huffed and said, "I'm literally 10 months older than you." I felt stupid for saying it, and I realized pretty quick that she didn't want to be my anything. But there are other moments too, like the time her friends were over and Femi called me weird when he thought I wasn't listening. Esther laughed and I waited for Nia to agree, but she didn't. Instead, she said, "He's all right." "Hi, Tom," Aaron says. I don't hug him because it's not my place. Instead, we fist bump and Aaron grins and says, "It's my turn to choose the film." Whenever he stays, we have a family film night. Last week, Mom picked P.S. I Love You because she only watches movies that make her cry. Aaron will choose Mona because he always chooses Mona and will joke we've seen it a million times, then smile as he sings every word. After dinner, while Mom and Jay load the dishwasher and Aaron pretends to look through our DVDs, I turn to Nia and say, "I have a question about Evie Wells. Are you stalking her or something?" "No, did you hear a rumor about her and someone's dad?" She makes a face. "What are you talking about?" "I heard a story that Evie was, with a friend's dad. It was going around school, so I figured it was true. I have to lie a little bit. Nia is more likely to tell me the truth if she thinks I already know it. But she shakes her head and says, "I don't know anything about that. It sounds like bollocks. Some kid at your school probably made it up, but it didn't get as far at ours." Nia doesn't talk about the academy much, but I know that when gossip happens, it grows and spreads and becomes more than a few whispered words. Evie Wells is not the kind of girl to hook up with someone's dad, Nia says. I didn't really know her, but I don't see it. I can actually see the moment Nia realizes she's talking to me in a way she never has before. She catches herself, gives me a funny look, then rearranges her features. But the sharpness flattens as Aaron walks back in, holding the Mona DVD, passes it to his sister and sings, "You're welcome." Oh, Moana. I'm not young anymore. We all laugh and she lets me join in the joke. After the movie, Aaron turns to his sister and says, "Play it." "Upstairs," she whispers. "No, here." Nia sighs, but she's not angry. She'll do whatever her brother wants because he can only ask once a week. She gets one of her guitars from her room, then sits next to him and says, "You ready?" Aaron nods, and his sister glances at me. Then she plays the tune I usually hear through the wall, the song she wrote for her brother that doesn't have any words but is basically perfect. If I wasn't here, maybe this would be one of those cheesy family moments you see on TV, but I am, so it's not. Nia's embarrassment creeps out between the notes, yet she keeps going. When she's done, Mom says, "Amazing," and Nia's face lights up the way Aaron's does when she plays. "Thanks," my stepsister says, watching as her brother burns off the last of his energy. It's only when I'm brushing my teeth that Nia stands in the bathroom doorway and asks, "What's going on?" I can't reply without spraying her with toothpaste, so I just shrug and say, and she says, "Where did you really hear about E.B. Wells?" I slowly rinse my mouth, figuring out what to tell her, but before I can, Nia says, "Don't believe everything you hear." 35. Amy's new house is twice the size of ours. If you go online, you can see the photographs taken before the builder started work. That was the house Amy's parents bought, but it isn't the one they live in now. I only got a glimpse of the hallway, but it's all white now. The light switch and sockets sparkling chrome, the carpet so perfect I feel guilty for wearing shoes. I look around our house at how lived in it looks. How could they go from this to that? I can't imagine ever living in a house that looks like a space station with walls I'd be afraid to touch in case I marked them. I watch Amy's house from mine, putting words to the silent scenes that switch from window to window. Again, as always, her parents sit on either side of her brother in the living room, their faces lit by the TV's glow, but she's not with them. She doesn't talk about her brother, and I wonder if it's because he's the favorite. He looks about 11, and I make a note on my phone to look out for him at school. Would he tell me something different if I asked about the holes, or would he think I'm a weirdo and report me to the principal? Their house is so far back from the street, with a massive driveway and that sliding gate, that they probably don't worry about being spied on. Mom closes the curtains as soon as the lamp goes on because she hates the idea of people looking in, but Amy's parents act like they're invisible. I see a curtain twitch, then Amy is looking out, staring directly at me. She doesn't smile, she doesn't wave, but my light is off, and I'm crouched down low, only my forehead and my eyes poking above the windowsill. I'm not spying, I'm just making sure that she's safe, that I'm wrong, that their house and the people in it are as harmless as ours. Amy isn't looking at me anyway. She's watching a moon that fills the sky, making the night feel almost safe. She brushes the strand of hair behind her ear, puffs her cheeks, and blows out. Then the curtain falls back into place and she's gone. I look back at her dad, whose face shows no signs of the beating he had, and whose arm rests on the shoulder of a wife who doesn't look betrayed. Amy's brother laughs at something unseen, and his parents smile at each other. And in that moment, I think of Mom and Jay and Nia and Aaron. This is how they looked last night as we sat watching the same film for the 100th time. I was there, on the sofa next to them, not hidden away upstairs like Amy is now, but I think I feel like her. I felt separate, as if I was watching them, and when you watch, you see things other people don't, like a girl leaving behind clues she's too scared to admit to, and telling lies for reasons you can't quite understand.